Hey, what's up, guys? Randall from Odds Jam back with you to take a look, see what's out there tonight in terms of EV betting value, see if there's anything out there later in the week. Going to just take a look at the odds screen. We'll see what's out there as well for all of these other games. So if you've got any questions, feel free to throw those in here, and I'll get those answered for you. So we can see here, I'm on the recommended filters page now. I am in Illinois, so don't have a lot of options in terms of sports books. But nonetheless, we do have a few plays here that look very, very good. One in particular here is the 49ers minus 126 on the money line over at FanDuel. I mean, you can see the rest of the market minus 145, minus 150. Bet Online, very, very sharp book, minus 147. Bookmaker minus 141. So two sharp books. Every other book in the 140s. FanDuel minus 126. So really, really good value here. I actually do like the Niners in this spot to potentially bounce back. Kind of embarrassed on Sunday Night Football. Always like to take a team after an embarrassing loss. And I guess with Denver, you could say an embarrassing win, but no real feel there. Although we do have this game with the Raiders. There is some value on the Raiders -2 plus 100. Do think if I had to bet this game, probably would be looking at the Raiders personally as well anyway. And so you're getting some EV, just a little over a percentage, 1% of expected value on this play. Raiders -2. So definitely some value there. If I turn the recommended filters off, and again, the recommended filters on are showing you the best bets that are out there with all of the historical data and back testing that we have done. We can see Niners still on the page without the recommended filters. Raiders still on the page as well. SMU, one of my favorite teams, plus 3.5. That looks to be a pretty good bet, -107 on SMU. Although, most of the market's -110, -120. So not as good of a bet as it looked initially, looking, a little bit deeper into it. So would probably pass on that. Let's go ahead and take a look, though, and see. We've got some live betting. Let's see what's out there. Over 7 in the Yankees Blue Jays game, plus 135. No big odds, plus 121. If we look at that, we can see that the odds across the board, we can look at all these odds, plus 125 on Pinnacle. So again, these live plays are constantly moving. This looks like it's still out there. Doesn't look like we have anything. Well, I guess Cowboys -5.5, plus 135 on PointsBet. Looks to be an EV play, especially in comparison to all of these other books. But actually, it looks like now plus 154 on FanDuel. That just shifted. So these are the live odds. Again, you can get these with the Platinum plan if you wanted to see live odds. See if there's any live arbitrage opportunities. Not sure what happened there. Never seen that. Just a second. All right. Well, I am not sure what is going on. Let's see there we go. All right, now we're back. Let's go back over here to the ARB page. Not sure what happened there. Some live in-play ARBs. So, if you're looking to do some live betting here, over 7 plus 210 in the Yankees, that was just plus 135. If you wanted to bet that, you could bet 150 on the under, 82 on the over. You're going to lock up a risk-free $24, assuming that it doesn't land on 7. If it lands on exactly 7, you would just be given a refund there. They've got some pre-match ARBs that are out there. Vikings, Saints, you could bet this, make some risk-free money as well if you wanted to. 230 on one side, 195 on the other side. Make a risk-free $4.55 if you wanted to. So just wanted to show a couple of those tools there. I'm going to go ahead, though, and I'm going to shift gears and take a look at what's out there for college football this Saturday. Bear with me here. I've got just the top 25 games. Looks like Washington plays at UCLA. So let's take a look at that. We can see if there's any value. Washington's laying 3.5 in that game. Looks like the best odds would be on Bet Online in this particular game. -105 on DraftKings. You can pick up best money line odds -155 on DraftKings. I believe this is Washington's first road game, so will be interesting to see how they do on the road at UCLA. I would say that will definitely be a more of a home game, I would say, for Washington than UCLA. Fans just have not been showing up to that one. Michigan at Iowa is another game that maybe has a little bit of firepower, if you will. Although I guess you could argue maybe not, depending on what Iowa team shows up, which Iowa has looked pretty pathetic this year. But if you look at this here, Iowa +325 at Barstool and Bet Rivers. Looks like a 10.5 point spread here. Don't really have an opinion on this game. Not a lot here. I mean, Iowa, the home dog, +10.5. Again, just shopping lines here. Looks like best number you can get on the Hawkeyes would be +10.5 at either DraftKings, Caesars, or I guess it would actually be at PointsBet, -107. So take a look and see. Ole Miss, Kentucky's another pretty good game. I did want to point out this one game just because it moved earlier today. And this is why being on the EV page is so important all throughout the day, constantly refreshing the odds to see what's out there. So this North Carolina State game, this was actually an EV play, North Carolina State +9. You can see that number now is all the way down to 6.5. So this opened at, I think it opened at 10 actually, plus EV play on the +9. Now it's 6.5. So, there's a chance here if you took NC State +10 or even +9, you could come back now on Clemson 6.5. Clemson wins by 7, you win both of those. So that would be, a pretty good middle bet. You're getting a couple of key numbers there at 6.5, especially if you had 10. Definitely a lot of value on that. But again, that number is long gone. It was 9-10 this morning. It was on the EV page. People bet it, and now it's down to 7, 6.5. So definitely the right side if you are on Clemson, +9 in that one. Wake Forest, Florida State, ranked battle of two ranked teams, I should say. We can see that line, I believe, is Florida State 6.5, 7. Looks like it is. So if you were looking to bet the Seminoles minus the 6.5, you would want to bet that on Caesars or FanDuel. Every other book, you can get Wake Forest at +7. Wake's coming off of that loss against Clemson. You never know how they'll respond to that. But nonetheless, I mean, this is why it's important to shop around, why you need to be on OddsJam, even if it is just for line shopping, because there's no reason, if I want to play Florida State on Saturday, there's no reason that I should lay -7 at -110 when I can lay 6.5 at -110. I mean, if the Seminoles win by 7, this is a push at MGM. This is a win at either FanDuel or Caesars. So it's just silly to take, a half a point of difference. I mean, literally every single point matters. Last night, just for example, San Francisco, Denver, I mean, just absolutely awful game. But at one point, Denver was +2 right before kickoff. It went back to 1.5. But if San Francisco gets a field goal late, now all of a sudden that's a push versus a loss at +1.5. So you would be surprised, been doing this for 15 years now, you would be surprised how many games where a half a point makes all the difference in the world. It's important to line shop. You have to make sure you get the best of the number. Let's take a look at a couple other games, and then we're going to switch gears, head over to the NFL. A couple of games I want to talk about with the NFL. I do love college football, watching it. Betting it makes me want to pull my hair out. So, again, here we go. You've got Baylor -2.5, -107 on PointsBet. Looks to be the best bet that's out there. Baylor coming off of that win at Iowa State. So, at home, -2.5 here seems a little bit fishy to me, but it doesn't look like there's any real value in terms of, line shopping when we're looking at this. And then last game that I would say, I don't know if it's the marquee game of the day, but it's Arkansas and Alabama. Alabama playing on the road at Arkansas. This game would have been a lot better if Arkansas could have found a way to win the other night against Texas A&M, but they couldn't get it done, and now they're 17.5 point underdogs. So again, just looking here, let's take a look and see what's out there. I mean, this is a huge difference in the line. I mean, this could be a win or a loss depending on where you're taking it. So if you want Bama, there's no reason to lay 17. There's definitely no reason to lay 17.5. But if you only have Barstool or Bet Rivers, you're left with no choice. Bama wins by 17, you lose your bet. If you take 16.5 because you have all of these books, Bama wins by 17, now you make money. If you only have Caesars and you have to lay 17, Bama wins by 17, it's a push. So again, just the value of line shopping is so critical, and it's so underrated. There's so much value out there. These books, take action from different players. You're going to get better lines at some books. And so you have to shop around. You have to find where the best value is. I mean, if I want to take Arkansas, why would I take Arkansas plus 16.5 at -110 when I can get a full point -114? I mean, or I can just get to 17 at the same price as 16.5. So again, shop around, get the best of these numbers. It will matter. It does matter long-term whenever you are betting. So it looks like this Giants-Cowboys game, I'm assuming, I don't have a TV on right now, I'm assuming this is probably at halftime. Looks like Cowboys -135 on the money line, +120 at PointsBet. So looking at a couple of these games, we'll talk about a few of them, and then we'll wrap this stream up. If you've got any questions, though, about specific games that you want me to talk about or look into, please comment. I'd be more than happy to go in, share my thoughts, share my opinion on these games for whatever that's worth. Saints-Vikings, this is the London game. No feel there. This is a game that I don't ever bet. We'll enjoy waking up on Sunday morning watching the Saints. If I had to guess, I would take the Vikings here. And again, we can look at this and see. It looks like, bookmaker here, very, very sharp book, only giving you +118 on the Saints. So definitely appears to be some sharp action on the Saints. I mean, +130 is a solid number on the money line. But this London game, this is not something I've ever gotten involved with. But if you're looking at it purely from where is the value, bookmaker and Pinnacle, I mean, 118 +125, +125. There's definitely some value here on the Saints +130. Looks like we just had a comment come in. Would love your thoughts on Raiders Broncos. So yeah, Willie, actually, the more this game really catches my eye, and it's probably one I will bet. Take a look at this game. I said last night that, if the Broncos lost that game, I was planning to take the Raiders initially. And I said, if the Broncos lost that game, there's no way you can back the Raiders in that spot after the Broncos were just totally embarrassed. Now, with that said, it was an embarrassing win. I mean, it wasn't anything to write home about. I mean, this this Denver Broncos offense looked like the Bears. I mean, Matt Nagy calling the plays. So now after the game was over, I did tell myself I'm going to bet the Raiders. I do like that side. And, the Broncos looked awful, but Raiders are 0-3. And it's do or die time now. And I think that, you can get the Raiders on the money line -120. We showed that earlier, -2 at +100 on PointsBet. I really like this game. I do wonder if the Raiders can get their offense going. I mean, Denver's defense is solid. The Raiders, moved the ball pretty well last week at Tennessee, especially in the second half. This defense is going to be a much different defense than they played this past week. But I do like the Raiders here, -120. I mean, if you can get that at PointsBet, I would definitely bet that. I do think that this is the right side. I think if it gets to 3, which actually I think it did touch 3 today, there was obviously some buyback on the Broncos, but definitely some value here on the Raiders, and that's my angle. I mean, Raiders 0-3. I mean, it's now or never. Broncos did look like trash, and that is one thing I don't like, is how bad they looked. But I mean, with that said, I think the Raiders are the right side in this game. Falcons Browns, initially kind of like the Falcons +2.5 in this particular game. If we look at that, we can see it's actually been bet down some spots. I mean, again, 2 very, very sharp books. And these are 2 books that you can see if you have the Platinum plan with OddsJam to be able to compare these odds in real time. 2 very, very sharp books have the Browns -1. You can get +2 at PointsBet -107. You can even get +1.5. I mean, tells me the right side is probably the Falcons, which that was my initial thought when the line came out. But here's the thing. Atlanta was +3. Now they're +2. Now they're +1.5. So as I mentioned last night on the stream, I mean, if you're waiting to kind of bet these games on Sunday and you're using the positive EV tool, I mean, you have to get these bets in early. These lines are they're moving immediately. The lines are already sharp to begin with in the NFL. So you've got to take advantage of whatever lines come out. Now, barring injury, certainly if there's injuries during the week, that can hurt you a little bit if you lock them in early, but hopefully nothing like that happens. Ravens Bills, very interesting game. Don't really have a lot to say on that one. I think that's a total stay away for me at this point. I would lean to the Ravens, I think, as a home dog, but probably stay away from that. Although, I think the logic probably is, or not logic, but the thought is that Buffalo can't lose 2 in a row. And, my rebuttal to that is why not? You see it all the time. And so I would probably lean to the Ravens here. This was on the plus EV page last night, +165 on the Ravens money line at PointsBet. It's not as valuable, or doesn't have as much value as it did yesterday. But I do think there's going to be, especially at this 3.5, there's going to be some buyback on the Ravens. You can see Bet Online, although it looks like Bet Online's ready to move this to 3.5. So may not actually see any buyback on that until Sunday, which you can see. These lines are moving all week. People are betting these games all week. Cowboys, Commanders, depending on what happens in tonight's game, we can see, looks like Caesars is the only one that's hanging a line right now. If the Cowboys go on to win this game, I will probably be on Washington in this spot. National TV game, Cowboys win. Everybody loves to bet the Cowboys, but I can't tell you where the value is right now because there's not enough books with odds that are out here. Lions, Seahawks, no interest. Texans, Chargers, no interest. Chargers made a huge mistake yesterday in playing Herbert in that game. I mean, that's the bottom line there, that he had no business playing that game, had no business definitely playing the whole game. And so that game is a total pass for me. Colts Titans, pretty interesting game. Titans off the win against the Raiders. Did not look impressive at all in the second half. not sure. I don't think they scored. Or if they did, it was a field goal. It was not a pretty second half for the Titans. Colts, again, a couple questionable calls. I heard this morning Sean Smith threw the flag because of inappropriate language by Jones in that game, and that ultimately ended in the Colts covering and winning outright. But initially, do like the Colts here, minus the 3. And again, just taking a look, bookmaker has this at 3.5. Definitely some juice here on the Titans if you wanted to take that. Bet Online looks like they're ready to move it to 3.5. So if you can get Colts minus 3, minus 112, that looks like a pretty good number. A lot of these AFC South games land on 3 points. So always hate laying 3.5 in those, especially if you can get 3. Here's another one, Giants Bears. No books offering that. Bears 2-1. Who would have thought? If the Giants win, they're obviously they'll be undefeated. So you'd have undefeated against 2-1. Probably not sure what I would do with that game, at least at this point. Jaguars Eagles. I think this game's a lot more exciting than what it looked like, at least to start the year. Jacksonville's maybe better than everybody thought. I think the Eagles are what people expected. So, with that said, this is a tough game to bet. In terms of value, just kind of looking out there, Bet Online saying, hey, we'll give you 7 on Jacksonville. They're going to make you lay the 117. I would lean to the Eagles in this spot. I think that, the Eagles win obviously was impressive in Washington. I guess it was 24-8 final again. Didn't do a whole lot in the second half, but the Jags, just up and down the field the entire game, looked unstoppable. And so I would lean to the Eagles in this spot. Question here from Willie. If the boys win tonight, do you expect that line to move beyond 3 next week? So I mentioned this last night. Let me just look at my notes so I don't say something that's not true. So the look ahead line on this last week was Cowboys. Let me double check that. So it was actually Cowboys 2.5. So it's tough to say. I don't think. I would say if you get a 3.5 on Washington, I would snag it immediately. But I'm not sure that we see it get to 3.5. We might, and if you do, I think that's a very, very good number to take Washington on Sunday. Would you take the Cowboys minus 2.5 in this game live? Well, let's take a look. Let's just see. Hop over to the live EV page if we can. I'm assuming this game is at halftime. Let's see if there's anything out there. So right now, live EV bet is actually on the Giants. Now, it's not super, super high. Plus 140 is live EV on the Giants money line live. So that is actually the plus EV side. So this would probably be a pass for me. I leaned towards the Cowboys before the game started. I didn't actually bet this game, but it looks like, purely from a plus EV side or positive EV side, that the Giants plus 140 is in fact the play. I didn't watch enough of this first half to really give an opinion on it, other than the math on this says that the Giants are the right side at plus 140. So that would be, if I were going to do it, that would be where I would go with it. Just by not watching the game. Steelers Jets. I actually do have an opinion on this game. I think that the Steelers minus 3.5 is a very, very good play. That score against Cincinnati for the Jets, very, very misleading. The Bengals dominated that game. I think the Steelers do the same. Jets are an awful team. The win they had in Cleveland was, kind of one for the ages. That's not going to happen again. I think the Steelers here, 3.5. I know they looked awful against the Browns, but I do like the Steelers at minus 3.5 in this game. And then just in terms of value, it looks like all of the values I say all of the value, all of the juice. I mean, if you want to take the 3.5, it's minus 115, minus 120. So it's actually, it appears that people are backing the Jets. Probably see this line get down to 3. And it looks like Bookmaker and Bet Online are not as high on the Steelers as some of these other books. So something to consider, and something that I'll definitely be looking at throughout the week, to kind of see where the market is going. And then one last game here, I guess we'll look at these last two. Cardinals-Panthers. This game's very interesting to me for a variety of reasons. So first of all, this game was Arizona -3 before last week started. Secondly, if the Panthers cover this game, that'll be two covers in a row at home. And one of the things that I like to look for is a team that covers 2 games at home in a row. I always like to fade them in the third game. So if the Panthers cover this game against the Cardinals, which when you look at the market, definitely appears that that's the right side. I will be looking to fade the Panthers in week number 5 against the San Francisco 49ers. So just something to keep in mind. If the Panthers cover this week, there's going to be a lot of value on the Niners next week, which we spoke about earlier. There was a lot of value on the Niners this week, minus 126 on FanDuel. But Carolina opened -1. They were +3 the week before. But with the win over the Saints, coupled with the loss by the Cardinals against the Rams, you now have a little bit of a shift in the line. Now, whether that's warranted, I'm not really sure. Carolina is a very solid team defensively. Offensively, still have some questions there. So this game is just very interesting for a variety of reasons, in terms of what the line was, what it is now, and the implications for a play potentially next week. And then Packers-Patriots would have been a very good game if Mac Jones was playing. Looks like he's out. He's not going to play. Interestingly enough, this line last night, it was on the EV page. Packers -8.5. You could have got it -110. Now it's 10.5. So again, just if you're on the EV page on Sunday morning, like, oh, I'm going to hop over here and I'm going to get all my NFL bets in for the day. You're already late to the party. All of your NFL betting, if you're looking to do it from the EV page, needs to be done early in the week. We talked about the Raiders being a good EV play, talked about the Niners being a good EV play. Looks like the Cardinals on the money line in the first half actually has some value here. Panthers first half actually has some value on FanDuel, which, these are 2 very low EV percentages. So we probably look to pass on that. But again, if you're looking to bet the NFL Sunday from an EV standpoint, all of that value is gone. Even gambling couldn't make this Snooze Fest game tonight exciting. Last night I had a bet on the Broncos, and that game was incredibly boring. Watched it until the end. Not sure why, but not excited to go back up and watch this one. Then it doesn't sound like it's any better. I actually put together PointsBet. If you've never checked out PointsBet actually, if it's in your state, depending on your state, you can get 2 free bets up to $2,000. If you're on OddsJam, you just click the PointsBet logo. It takes you to that sign-up offer. But PointsBet's been giving out some free bets every Monday night game, every week that you can put towards like a same game parlay. And so I put together one tonight. It was under, I think, 29.5 total points. Daniel Jones to be the first touchdown scorer, which I don't think anyone's even scored a touchdown. And then it was Dallas +1. So it was, I think, 140-1 was the payout. So I guess that still has a little bit of life, it sounds like, in terms of how boring this game is. Bengals, Dolphins. Let's take a look at that one. I didn't even see that on here. Maybe I looked right over it. I did. I skipped right over it. I hate Thursday games, so that was probably why. Didn't want to pay much attention to it. But I do have an opinion on this game, and we can kind of see if it's validated here. This line actually was, let's just take a look here on the look ahead. This line was Bengals -1.5. So now it's all the way up to 3.5. 3 if you want to bet it on bookmaker, but they're going to make you lay 130. Man, this game is very interesting. I mean, are the Bengals back after last week? I don't know. Jets weren't very good. Bengals didn't run the ball very good or very well either. So that's a little concerning, but I do like the Bengals here. I mean, I just think that there's a lot of hype around the Dolphins. I mean, they just beat the Bills, who have looked absolutely unstoppable. You've got the drama with Tua. I mean, I'm very curious to see if he even plays this week with the concussion protocol and all of that they let him back in the game. And I mean, just whatever happened there, I'm not really sure. Definitely was not a back injury in my opinion. And so in looking at these odds, I mean, I don't see really any value. I mean, again, this opened up yesterday. I mean, not for long, but it was Bengals -1.5. So again, and actually this was an EV play. I pointed it out. It was -1.5, -2. And so it was an EV play. Now it's up to 3.5. So it's like, do you lay the 3.5? Do you lay the 3 if you have bookmaker? I mean, that's when you're taking bad numbers in the NFL. And if the Bengals win by 3, you lose your bet if you lay the 3.5. Now you could certainly look to in-game, live in play there, but I do like the Bengals. I actually think that this is probably a 7+ point win. I think the Bengals win by 7 or more. So probably doesn't matter, just in my opinion. But I mean, in looking at just the numbers, I mean, there's no real true value. My personal opinion is Bengals cover the 3.5. But with that said, I'm also 0-3 on Thursday Night Football this year. So take that for what it's worth. Any possible touchdown in the second half? I don't know if you're looking for an anytime touchdown score. We can see if we're pulling any of that. Yeah, so we do have some anytime touchdown scorers live. Well, Daniel Jones, I mean, maybe he scores the first one plus 700 on Caesars. That's a little wishful thinking on my part. But no, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of scoring. So is there, trying to see here, is there a no touchdown option? I'm not seeing a no touchdown option, but maybe that's a place you look, is for no touchdown to be scored. So, but let's take one last look. We'll go to the live EV page, see if there's anything out there. We'll refresh this, see if anything looks like the over 9 Pirates Reds, about 6.3% EV Pirates over on the team total, almost 12% EV. A lot of value here in this Pirates Reds game, it appears. Not seeing anything for the Monday Night Football game. I know it was on the Giants, actually, when we looked earlier. So constantly refreshing this to see if there's any value. Under 14.5 in the Orioles Red Sox game, even money. That's an EV play there. So a couple things there. I think you're a bit behind the stream. You were able to grab Bengals money line -135 last night. No, you absolutely did. When I was live streaming last night, the Bengals were -135. They were -1.5, -2 in some spots. I mean, I think that is a great bet. And just to show you, Willie's got Bengals here -135. So what does that mean for him? He can obviously ride it out. He has a great bet if he wants to play it and leave it, which, I mean, I would for sure. But if for some reason, he wants to get out of it, I mean, he could go to FanDuel. And Willie, I'm going to say you're a big time better here. Plus 160, -137. So, I mean, again, using the tools at OddsJam, plus 160 being the best line that's out there. Let's say Willie threw $2,000 on the Bengals. and he wants to put 1,300 on the Dolphins, he can make a risk-free $129, profit of about 3% if he wanted to hedge it. Now, me personally, I mean, that's some huge expected value. I mean, you got minus 130, would you say minus 135? It's now minus 180, minus 190. Bookmaker minus 180, Bet Online minus 182. So you got incredible value. Would definitely let that ride. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Just wanted to talk some games, see what was out there for live betting. We're going to keep doing these live streams. Love you guys commenting, giving us something to talk about. That helps as always. So I'm going to head up. Hopefully we can see a touchdown here out of Daniel Jones and keep this score under and maybe cash that long parlay I was telling you about. But appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you later.